He's unable to pay.
The latest Quinnipiac poll shows 64% of voters do not think President Biden has the mental fitness to serve, with physical fitness at about the same number. Fox News contributor David Webb says all you have to do is watch Joe Biden and listen to him.
Everybody's got eyes. Hopefully your vision is good. See for yourself. We have a man who is addled clearly, who is incompetent in many ways, and frankly lies to the American people in every which way just to get ahead.
Former President Trump was asked if he would compete with President Biden's campaign by using TikTok to reach younger voters.
I'm leading with the young voters by a lot. I think they want to see competence in office. They see this guy who can't put two sentences together. He literally... So if he were on this stage, he would not be able to figure out how to get off. Did you ever see it? He can't find the stairs. There's stairs all over the place. He can't find stairs. They want to see competence, much more so than being on TikTok. I believe that.
The Biden campaign is on TikTok, despite the Chinese-owned app being banned from government devices. A pro-gun advocate is not surprised that the nation's oldest gun manufacturer is leaving anti-gun New York State and relocating in gun-friendly Georgia. Chad Groening has more.
For 208 years, the Remington Gun Factory was nestled in New York's Mohawk Valley. But next month, the facility in Ilion, New York will be shuttered, and the remaining operations there will be moved to LaGrange, Georgia, where company leaders say the firearms industry is supported and welcomed. Mike Hammond is legislative counsel to Gun Owners of America.
The gun industry sort of grew up in the Northeast in New York and New England, and basically now those areas have become so anti-gun that they're just driving these companies out.
And Hammond says relocating to a gun-friendly area should be beneficial in another way.
The places to which these companies have moved will allow the employees to carry the guns that they make. So that may be one big difference.
Remington is not the first gun maker to flee the Northeast. Smith & Wesson moved from Springfield, Massachusetts, where the company had been located since 1852, to Tennessee last year. I'm Chad Groening.
A bill in California would require insurance companies to ask homeowners and renters whether they own a gun. And that's not all. Chris Woodward has more.
Assembly Bill 3067 would also require insurance companies get specified information regarding the storage of any firearms kept in the household, accessory structures, or vehicles kept on the property. The bill would even require an insurer to annually report this information to the Department of Insurance and the legislature. Alan Gottlieb of Second Amendment Foundation says this not only infringes on Second Amendment rights, but Fourth Amendment rights to privacy.
The government should have no knowledge of who owns the gun, how it's stored, where it's kept in people's own homes for self-protection. This is, again, a California overreach tracking gun ownership, and quite frankly, the insurance company should be pushing back on it in defense of their clients.
If this passes and gets enacted into law, Gottlieb says Second Amendment Foundation will be challenging it in court.
What starts in California, you'll find it introduced in other states as well. So that's why it's important to stop it. And in California, the legislature is basically so anti-Second Amendment rights that there's no way to stop it in the legislature. Governor Gavin Newsom is so anti-gun, he would sign it into law. So we expect to defeat it in court.
I'm Chris Woodward.
The number of Americans applying for jobless benefits fell to the lowest level in 5 weeks. Applications for unemployment benefits fell by 12,000 to 201,000 for the week ending February 17th. More news online at afn.net and the AFN mobile app. I'm Rusty Pugh.
Well, good evening, everyone, everywhere. it is time for Far Out with Nick at Night. That's me. I'm Nicholas, and I'm in the studio live tonight. The studio cam is on. Chat room is open. I see Scattered Sheep over there in the YouTube chat room. And also, looks like Tom Raines is in the chat room too. He said, Trump only wants to watch TV in the White House all day, then on other days fly in Air Force One to stay at one of his gold courses for top dollar paid to himself. Okay. Says, I want to share sweet worship music by the sounds like Rain, the Kirkland family. They're a Christian homeschool family. I've followed them a few years. I think you would enjoy them. The Kirkland family, huh? I haven't heard of them yet. Maybe leave a link in the chat room there or in the First Amendment Radio chat room if you can get over there just as easily. I see you were in there last night. I hope you'd enjoyed my morning broadcast. I spent the evening with my daughter, so I got to do that once in a while when I can. But I'm back tonight. I'll probably be here every night for the next couple nights at least. We'll see. Try to be here every night. Okay, what are we going to talk about today? Well, I don't really know. Just going to have, I got everything lined up and ready to go here. I was wondering, you said you just realized you'd been watching or listening to a rerun. Well, it was a fresh rerun from the morning anyway. So at least that, if you missed it in the morning, I guess if you'd have saw it in the morning, you would have recognized it immediately at night. But I hope you enjoyed that broadcast yesterday. I've decided to just go ahead and begin a frontal attack against the false prophets, and started with the most popular, which is David Jeremiah. Yeah. I've never listened to him before in my life, before this year when I perused a couple of his videos on YouTube because I'd seen his name up as number one. So, good. Sounds good, she says. And this program is not about Trump. Like some broadcasts. Either they love Trump or they hate him, but either way, it's about him. Well, no, I didn't vote for Trump. I wouldn't vote for Trump. I've always seen for Trump for what he is, just another ungodly man out there. I did like some things he did. It was good that he was favorable to Christianity. And Kennedy, well, he's for abortion. And you never know when how far he'll go green on us, because he was pretty far gone green before a bit, or maybe he's just awake about, because of his defense against the vaccine. So, yeah, I said the wrong word for YouTube. That on YouTube? Oh no, they're going to strike me. What is going on here? Yeah, what is going on here? I'm all over the place with this stream. Well, I don't like that at all. Huh. There's no sense in doing a program if the stream is not working, is there? Yeah. YouTube buffering. No, it's my connection is not connecting. It's trying to get up to 1,000 kilobits, but keeps dropping back off. I don't know what to do about that. Maybe. And he says, "Here I am. Here am I." King James English always. Here am I. And the Bush said, okay, and he said, "Draw not hither. Don't come any closer." That's what draw not nigh hither means. It means in English, in New English or contemporary English, it means don't come any closer. So the bush says, Moses, Moses, and he draws close. He says, okay, I'm Moses, I'm here, who's calling me? And the bush says, don't come any closer. Okay. Now I'm back. All right. Well, I don't know what happened there, I lost my stream, and but now for no reason whatsoever it's back, and it says that I'm streaming where I should be at 3 megabytes per second. Okay. Yeah. No, it's not your computer. It was somewhere, it was my internet connection. But I'm back now. And that's a terrible way to spend the first 10 minutes of your broadcast, is wondering what happened to my stream. But it seems stable now. Okay. Now, where was I? Yeah, where was I? What was I talking about? Oh, yeah, I was talking about Trump, and I was talking about Kennedy. And Trump and Kennedy, I don't know who I trust more or less between the two of them. And it looks like it's going to be one or the other, unless Joe Biden and the Democrats get to cheat again. But they don't want either Kennedy or Trump. Everybody agree with me? I'm back. Right? Yeah, it's back, she says. Yeah, it wasn't YouTube. It was my connection here, because I could see it drop off. It was everywhere at the same time, because you can see the meter right on my screen. It needs to be in the middle, like it is right there, that green wiggly line, about 3,000 or 3 megabytes per second. Anyway, we're back. Let's go ahead and jump into our, let's start with Babylon Bee. That's a good place to begin after a disastrous beginning. Yeah. Okay. Items to stockpile in case of a second Biden term. Well, I really can't believe that there will be a second Biden term, Babylon Bee, but let's check it out. 9 items most conservatives must stockpile to protect themselves in case Biden wins. With Joe Biden somehow still alive and Kamala Harris less likable than Bunions, it looks like Biden will be up for re-election. Should Joe Biden win in November, preparation will be key. But what exactly should conservatives start hoarding in case that happens? Let's read more and find out. Okay. With Joe Biden somehow still alive and Kamala Harris less likable than Bunions, we read that part, what should we hoard in case that happens? The Babylon Bee has put together the following helpful list of must-haves for conservatives in the event of another 4 years of Biden. Please. Not another 4 years. I don't think America could stand through another 4 years. Adult diapers, just so Biden can't have them. Viva la resistance. 2, cows. After Biden bans them for farting too much, ribeyes will be in short supply. Number 3, history books that show pictures of white people. As Google AI has shown, history could look a lot different in a few years. Yes, indeed. 4, one of those maps to push little plastic soldiers around on. A convenient and fun way to keep track of everything that happens during World War III. reality goggles made for such a time as this. 6, earplugs. Odds are you'll be hearing a lot of Kamala cackling before too long. That's true. Yes, I get it. 7, babies. We're going to need to stockpile a lot of them to turn things around. Good idea. I think babies are a good idea at any time myself. I like babies. Babies are about the coolest people on earth. Yeah. Then they all grow up and turn into grown-ups. And if they go through the public school system, I don't know, babies that don't go to public school, let me say that much. 8, ibuprofen. You'll have plenty of headaches from bashing your head into a wall every day. And what else Babylon Bee has for us today, this evening. Let's see. Black woman finally feels included as Google AI generates black Nazi soldier. I don't know how many of you saw that, but I did see that. I don't think I saved that tab on my browser, though. But all of the things that AI just cannot generate a white man. Even if you ask for one, the new AI, I forget which AI, Google AI, I guess it is. And that's the picture of the black Nazi soldier. Only it had a male, the one I remember, though. But maybe that's, yeah. But anyway, yeah. AI generates black Nazi soldier. Okay, for people who love, wait a minute. Shop now. I think that's a promotion. Let's see, a message from Dr. Marty Petz. Okay, moving on. Woman forced to go back and redo gym workout after forgetting to hit record on phone. And after forgetting to hit record on phone. Okay, if you say so. Trump is the greatest threat to America, says man overseeing invasion of America. Well, that one makes sense. It's not funny because it's reality. Yes. Hiring now. Guy who can keep wings on plane. Apply here. Quickly. Yeah, quick here. Apply now. Concerning Boeing lists job opening for guy who knows how to keep wings on plane. Next. Man with beautiful wife, 2 kids, still ranks entering initials into Cruisin' USA leaderboard among top 3 life achievements. I don't even know what that means. Cruisin' USA, I don't know what that is. Yeah. I guess I miss a lot of what's going on in the mainstream world out there. So, let's see. A Baptist pastor doused with grape juice after incredible preaching performance. And I don't get that one either. Anybody out there get that? Or is it just me that didn't get these last 2? Okay, never mind. Well, I guess that's all we got from Babylon Bee today anyway. And not really that funny of a day here, Babylon Bee. I think they've done much better. Yes. So we'll just close out that tab. See a free video series. Oh, that's not a saved tab. All right. We'll see what Technocracy News has here for us. Let's see. The full spectrum asymmetric war on free speech. Now you know. This will be the most important interview to view in your lifetime, unless you don't understand technocracy. I've talked about much of what Mike Benz reveals, except he does it with authority and end and clarity. Now you know why I declared war on technocracy in 2015. Please listen to the whole thing. And I think he's speaking about the Tucker Carlson interview with Mike Benz, and I did find that very interesting myself. And I would suggest that's what he's talking about. Definitely worth watching. I've got Tucker Carlson on X. And I don't know if there's anyone watching me on X or on Facebook. I'm not even checking with those. I just have the First Amendment Radio, YouTube, and Rumble chat room. Nobody seems to be going into the chat on Rumble, but on YouTube, the only place where it might not show up, like if I want to do a broadcast about certain topics, well, you can't talk about certain things on YouTube. There's 3 or 4 topics that are in the news that they wouldn't like the way I'm talking about them, so they would give me a strike and remove the channel from YouTube. So if I don't show up on YouTube, I mean, I'm just on one channel over there anyway, because I figure if I do get a strike, if I accidentally or forget myself for a moment that I'm on YouTube. Let's see, Boeing is solving all its problems, inventing its rubber airplane, says Tom Raines in the YouTube chat room. It's really inventing rubber airplanes. It's kind of like rubber bullets, isn't it? Yeah, non-lethal weapons. They hit the ground, they just bounce off. Yeah. Hey, that's funnier than Babylon Bee today, come to think of it. But anyway, Tucker Carlson is on, I guess you can watch, well, it's on Rumble, looks like the article, the interview there. But yeah, definitely check it out. Tucker has some good interviews. Some of them I don't really care about the people, but most of them have been pretty good as of lately. And yes, I did watch the Putin one. Yeah, I found it very interesting. See, if Putin and Biden were in the same history class, who do you think would ace it? Yes. No question, nothing needs to be said. But I can't chat, text, and Rumble. Yeah, I don't like the Rumble chat room either. Anyway, there's my first break. We'll come back and we'll see what else we have for today, or what you have. Questions, comments. Call me on Skype, Nicholas Arthur. Or you can still text me at that number right there.
Secrets of the Rapture. Is there a 500-year-old conspiracy? A propaganda machine so pervasive and entrenched, yet so elusive that the entire world could be taken in by it, working in plain sight, but unseen by the world for what it truly is? If prophecy is God-given history in advance, why does the prophecy that has conquered the age also exclude nearly 2,000 years of history? What is it that they are afraid that the light of history will reveal? To understand our place and time in prophecy, we must look in history for an interpretation, that which stands the test of time, that which agrees with the Word of God, and history has proven to be true. When cunning fables and fearful speculations are removed from our sight, then we may clearly see what is truly expressed in Bible prophecy, both that which has been fulfilled and that which has yet to come. God's express word is the sword that must be wielded to remove the scales from the eyes and dispel the darkness of deceitful conjecture. Secrets of the Rapture was written to expose that which the spirit of the age has conjured out of the darkness to blind the eyes of the church in the world today. Secrets of the Rapture, Deconstructing Pre-Tribulation Dispensational Futurism by yours truly, Nicholas Arthur, is now available at lulu.com and Amazon. Secrets of the Rapture.
The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the internet. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening.
Yes. It's a hilarious world out there. Yes, I just caught the catch line in the YouTube chat room. Boeing, Boeing, Boeing. Boeing is solving its problem by inventing its rubber airplane. Yes, good one. All right, let's see what else we got in the news bag here. Let's see. So wave to the satellite that is taking your picture from space. Why would Bill Gates want to fund a company that builds a new class of satellite that can take high-resolution photos from space? Well, technocrats of a feather, like birds, flock together. Their goal is to gain Their goal is to gain control over the environment, the physical world, and all of humanity. Yeah, nothing's changed there. Albedo Space is cleared to use a 10-centimeter resolution, but they are looking for a higher resolution. Okay, so I might want to look a little more into that article. Yes, I think I will. Let's see, taking your picture from space. Okay. One co-founder wrote, "We're actually aware of the privacy implications and potential for abuse, misuse. That's why we're doing it," they say. Then he proceeded to explain how he is prepared to stop abuse and misuse. We expect this thing to be an ongoing, evolving issue over time, but also something we want to start thinking about from day one. As far as practical steps, we'll be approving new customers on a case-by-case basis, building our robust internal tools to find bad actors, as well as the obvious measures of adding punitive clauses to our terms and conditions. What? Well, they're going to make it public? Anybody can use it? Is that what they're saying? Of course, case by case means the NSA, the CIA, the DOD, the DHS, and any other organization brimming with technocrats. It's not that technology itself needs to stop, but it's the technocrats themselves who have to be stopped. So, for decades, privacy experts have been wary of snooping from space. They feared satellites power enough to zoom in on individuals, capturing close-ups that might differentiate adults from children or suited sunbathers from those in a state of nature. Now, quite suddenly, analysts say a startup is building a new class of satellite whose cameras would, for the first time, do just that. They're trying, they never give up. I know if you go to Google Earth, You can go back in history and look at the older photographs of the area, whatever area you're looking at, like maybe where you live, because I've done that, and you see that the quality has improved quite a bit, but still you can't really make out people in any detail because, with a camera 400 or 500 miles away, it's hard to really get anything that looks really good from space, such as a human being or a dog. Now, I've seen the Google photos, the view from the street thing, and I've seen the vehicles go around with a camera on top of them. But I don't know if any of you played with Google Earth, but they've caught my dog running and chasing the Google car on the camera, chasing the car as it went by along the fence. We have a pretty long fence line here, being out in the country. But yeah, that was kind of cool, seeing the dog chase the car on Google Earth, the Google Earth car for the street view. And yes, I could make it out. It was my dog, but that's a camera on the street rather than 400 or 500 miles up and, up above the, in the atmosphere. Not really outer space. That's kind of like, upper atmosphere or, but it's not really like, because I'm not really sure about space travel. I think they might be able to send probes, but I think sending humans out there, one with all the radiation from the sun, it does enough damage here with this great big filter called atmosphere that we have. Just think how quickly it would destroy any carbon-based life forms without that protection. Yeah. So it would age you pretty quick. Okay. So anyway, something to look forward to in the future. Better satellite imaging of things on Earth and more privacy invasion. That's what he's talking about here. So, whoops. Let's go back here. Transhuman scientists grow testicles in a laboratory. Yes, well, I've heard the saying, grow a pair, but nobody ever thought that they would actually try to do this. What do they think of next? And the question is, why? Next, technocracy's coup d'etat is fully underway. The very start of the COVID panic of 2020, I wrote that technocracy's coup d'etat was fully underway. I anticipated in my 2015 book, Technocracy Rising, the Trojan horse of global transformation. Yeah, so anyway, that's from our good friend here, Patrick Wood, Technocracy News and Trends. Usually interesting articles. We'll close that page though. Let's move on to our redacted. Let's see. Happy Wednesday. Oh, I missed Wednesday. That was yesterday. We'll do it today. That way we'll be a day late because I don't think they do them. We'll have something to do on Saturday if I do that. Okay. A Chinese medicine expert breaks down how often people of certain ages should be having sex in order to ward off disease. How do you stack up? Kindly don't hit reply and tell us. Yeah, I get it. In case you missed it, the UK conducted a failed nuclear missile test on Tuesday. This is the second fail in 8 years. Gee, does that mean they're doing worse than Kim Jong-il? What a name, Kim Jong-il. Yes. At least he can get a rocket off to the whatever sea, the China Sea over there. That may be all he's able to do, as far as we know, I guess. All right, a Russian watchdog group has added Lindsey Graham to its list of terrorists and extremists. I would have to agree. Yeah, I think he would fit in right somewhere else, maybe Israel or one of these jihad nations. He would make a good jihadist. Dye his hair and put a turban on him or something, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, they can keep Lindsey Graham. Never a Warhawk, if there was one. And I don't blame Russia for adding him. I think he was talking about assassinating Putin or something like that, if I remember incorrectly. All right. Let's see. Also, in case you missed it, this horse made it out safe after having a jaunt along I-95 in Philadelphia on Tuesday morning. Oh, well, I guess we have to watch that. So let's click on it and see. The horse runs wild on Philadelphia streets. Yes. Okay, wild video. Oh, I guess you have to watch a commercial first. Yes. I think I'll pass on that. Yes, indeed. Let's check it out here. Oh, there it is. Yes, it's a horse race on Philadelphia Freeway. Check it out. Wild video, horse running along. Just ahead of rush hour. After the horse was captured. Yeah, there you go. Now, how many of you out there have lost a horse before? Well, I can say I have. My first horse, Amigo, the first horse when I moved to where the foothills where I am now. When I first moved out, when I first got him out here, within a week, yes, I didn't have things set up quite good enough for a horse. Anyway, he got away, found him, called the sheriff's department. Someone reported him that he was found, and I had to go over and pick him up on the other side of town. Yeah. But so I can understand that. Horses get out quite often around here. Okay. Iran says that Israel has attacked its gas pipelines. So that's in the news. Yeah. Next, Ukraine has reportedly struck training grounds for Russian military and killed at least 65 soldiers. Yes, reportedly. We don't know what's really going on over there in that war. All I know is they want more weapons to throw at Russia. Indian farmers are protesting the government's unfulfilled promises despite being targeted by pellet guns by police. Interesting. Yes, they're protesting in India too. Yes, the Indian tractors are out on the streets and they're being struck by pellet guns by police. Rubber bullets, stuff like that. Okay. Yes, we won't talk about gold. Never changes very much. But Bank of America said it should be $2,500 this year sometime. So if they say so, we'll see. I just can't believe Bitcoin, though. $51,000 for a Bitcoin. Man, if only I had put $100 in Bitcoin. Yeah. All right. Let's see. U.S. okays more bombing in Gaza. Well, yeah, I wouldn't want to be these guys when they have to face their maker. That's for sure. Okay, let's see. Good to see you in the chat room there. No Bucks. Haven't seen you in a couple days anyway. And, I missed a call from somebody yesterday. Wonder if they left me a text. Nope. Yeah, no, if someone calls my text number, it just reports it as a missed call. It leaves their number for me. So, but it's a text only thing. Yeah. Okay, well, let's see. What else we got here? It pays to be an illegal immigrant in the USA. In New York, migrants are being offered $10,000 debit cards with no ID check, no restrictions, and no fraud control. Where do I go? I mean, $10,000 doesn't go to New York. I can fly there and back for less than $1,000. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, maybe the whole family will go. Well, I'll get our $10,000 debit card to come back home. We need to work. What could go wrong? This means that New York City taxpayers, some of the highest taxed people in the world, will be paying to hand out money for free to migrants, illegal immigrants, illegal aliens. As the New York Post puts it, this debit card program, if you read the actual contract, has the potential to become an open-ended, multi-billion-dollar Bermuda Triangle of disappearing, untraceable cash used for any purpose. And yeah, that's what it's really about. The people that are implementing this are going to graft a lot of that off of there. Yeah, $10,000 debit cards? Wow. Yeah. I guess it's expensive to be an illegal alien in New York City. This gravy train has got to end sometime. It just can't go on forever. So what are these people going to do when it ends? That is the question. The Post says, when the Post exposed the mayor's debit card program earlier this month, the mayor's office spun it as a money-saving program. Oh, hey, we're going to save money by giving away more of it. Yeah, by giving away larger amounts of it, too. It says, it's a money-saving program to solve a problem. Migrants staying in hotels don't eat all their food. Huh? What? Does that make any sense? Am I missing something here? That's right. This nation has gone slam crazy. Now they're just all getting in on the gravy train. Because the more money, the thing is, the more money politicians can handle, the more they can steal or allocate to themselves or their friends' businesses, things like that. So they'll buy, okay. The problem is migrants staying in hotels don't eat all their food. So they'll buy New York food at retail prices. What guarantee is there that they'll eat all of that? I mean, what? There are so many problems with this program. It is almost too many to count. The bank that is providing these credit cards is making $53 million in fees. That does not include the money the city will then put as a credit on these cards. Yes, the world has definitely gone crazy. Okay, the biggest news trends of 2024. Let's take a look at that. Introducing the world leader in trend forecasting. Every week, the Trends Journal publishes the most essential information you need to know. Yes, Gerald Celente. Oh, they're selling the Trends Journal. So, anyway, Gerald seems like a really nice guy, though it's hard to watch him sometimes when he's on David Knight's show, because David Knight just turns them loose, and you swear the guy's going to blow a gasket. The veins are popping out of his head so far. I think David Knight is going to have a heart attack, just by, being on the same Skype call with him, or however they connect. Anyway, so there's that. Now what, you say? Yeah, what? Okay. Well, still nobody in the Rumble chat room. Well, I guess I'm just going to close the Rumble chat, and maybe I'll look for a chat room that actually has people in it. Because I've been a lot of other places. It's just, I would have to go to 3 screens instead of 2 in front of me, because I got to have one to browse on, and then I have one to watch everything else on, the software and the text number and the chat rooms. Yes. So anyway, I closed the Rumble chat, but I don't know which chat room to open up. Let me see. Let's see. I have a D Live. Let's see if anybody's watching my D Live Prophecy Reality channel. Oh, hey, looks like there may actually be a couple there. Yeah. Fuzzmeister, it's good to see you over there on D Live. Oops, maybe he's not even there, because D Live leaves all their chats in. Okay, and on X, that's just too much trouble to check all these things out. So I'll go back to wherever that was. But I do have, I was checking out Not the Bee. I saw it on X. And I thought, what is Not the Bee? Oh, it means that it's not satire. And a lot of the stuff that the Bee puts on is not satire, but at least they try to be funny about it. Now, I'm not sure that notthebee.com is funny. I guess there might be some humor here. Let's check it out. Let's look at some of this stuff. Let's see. The SC agrees to let Donald Trump take Truth Social public. He owns $4 billion in shares at its current value. Whoops. David Knight is starting over again. we can't have that. Let's see. Okay, well, that's not funny, but yeah, $4 billion. Well, they're comparing it with his fines. The woman who won a suit against him, a second suit against him, for slandering her because he stuck to a story and said everything. She's a liar. None of it was true, even though none of it was proved. She still won the money because people hate Donald Trump. It's hard to win in a suit, and I don't know why. I think did he have a jury in that case? I think he did, but it was a pretty fishy story that she was selling, and there was no evidence, so not sure that it's true. I'm not saying that Donald Trump was not a womanizer in the past. No. Hopefully his womanizing days are over with. I mean, he's got a good-looking wife, and he's got children, and I think he has plenty to do besides going out and womanizing, whatever. But next, let's check in on Maryland, Ohio. A migrant stole a state tow truck and played bumper cars for the cameras. That's okay. Not the Bee is Not the Bee. So I think we'll just check out of Not the Bee because it's not. Yes, indeed. All right. Well, let's see what other stories we got here. What other headlines we have to look at. Okay. Yes, this I found interesting. This from Sovereign Man, and I thought this might be for all of you out there listening who have lots of money in the bank. Well, not even lots of them, because what's lots of money anymore? I mean, if you got $1 million, that's like having a few $100,000. Used to be, so $1 million, so what's lots of money? Maybe you got 100,000, 50,000, whatever. You might want to pay a little attention to what he says here. He says on January 16, 1917, at the peak of World War I, the Imperial German Foreign Minister, Arthur Zimmermann, sent an encoded telegram destined for the President of Mexico. Oh yeah, I remember that. I've heard this story before. A little bit of history. Zimmermann wanted to form an alliance with Mexico in the hopes that the United States would be too distracted with potential conflict at their southern border to even think about joining the war in Europe. So, in his effort to strike a deal, Zimmermann promised not only a military alliance, but to help Mexico recover her lost territories of Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona. Well, might as well just throw California in there, right? Anyway, unfortunately for the German Empire, Zimmermann's secret cable was intercepted and decoded by a British cryptography team. It was then shared with the U.S. President Woodrow Wilson, one of the worst presidents of all time, who released it to the newspapers on March 1st. Well, I can agree. There's something that I agree with Woodrow Wilson on. Releasing it to the newspapers was the right thing to do. Yeah. Americans were outraged. And 5 weeks later, the U.S. joined the war. And you know what? I just heard my tone. And we're going to finish this story when I get back from some messages. So anyway, take a few minutes, go over to my website, crossborder.org or nicholasarthur.wordpress.com, and make sure you press the follow button there. Okay, I'll be back in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on satellite, internet, or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the internet. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening.
Hi, I'm Nicholas Arthur, and I'd like to introduce you to my latest book, Reformed Prophecy Interpretation, an apology for Reformed premillennial historicism in the 21st century. As with primitive biblical Christianity, historicism is the method of prophecy interpretation restored with the advent of the Protestant Reformation, and had become so widely held that for a long time it was called the Protestant view. My book is not so much about the errors of dispensationalism or amillennialism. Rather, it is about the historicist alternative to understanding many of the same passages from the vantage point of prophecy fulfilled in history. For those that desire more than mere hypotheses, bolstered with conjectured speculation, those who require explicit biblical exegesis and verified historical fulfillment, and are not willing to accept speculation as anything other than what it is. Speculation, not truth. This book is for you. Over the last century, this method of interpretation has become almost completely forgotten, even by Protestants, in the face of a method that is based almost entirely on future speculation, rather than fulfilled prophecy in history. In my book, I examine the reasons for this and investigate some of the prophecy which has been fulfilled in the interim, as well as present an apology for Reformed premillennial historicism to the 21st century. If you're interested in a copy of my book, you can go to my website, crosstheborder.org, and get more information there. Or you may also find it at Amazon. Welcome back. Now, I started this article, but I guess I should have checked the time before I started it. So I'm going to start it again. On January 16, 1917, at the peak of World War I, the Imperial German Foreign Minister, Arthur Zimmermann, sent an encoded telegram destined for the President of Mexico. Zimmermann wanted to form an alliance with Mexico in the hopes that the United States would be too distracted with potential conflict at their southern border to even think about joining the war in Europe. So in his effort to strike a deal, Zimmermann promised not only a military alliance, but to help Mexico reconquer her lost territories of Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona. Unfortunately for the German Empire, Zimmermann's secret cable was intercepted and decoded by a British cryptography team. It was then shared with U.S. President Woodrow Wilson, who released it to the newspapers on March 1st. Americans were outraged, and 5 weeks later, the U.S. joined the war, with the entire nation singularly focused on one goal: beating Germany. The United States economy answered the call with remarkable vigor. American businesses cranked out tanks, bullets, airplanes, fuel, provisions, and anything else needed for total victory. And as a result, companies which were vital to the war effort shot up in value. The profits of the United States Steel Corporation, for example, more than quadrupled from 1915 to 1917. And the company became one of the first in history to be worth $1 billion. Other companies, including Anaconda Copper and various food and energy producers, also performed exceedingly well. But eventually the war ended and the Roaring Twenties began. The economy was flush with cash. Jobs were plentiful. Prosperity was everywhere. And eventually the values of hard work and sacrifice were displaced by a culture of leisure and recreation. These new values were reflected in the stock market. Radio and motion pictures were the hot new consumer technologies of that era. And the Radio Corporation of America, RCA, manufactured the radios and phonographs, produced music and records, owned broadcast stations, including the original NBC, and even bought movie theaters. RCA was basically the Netflix and Apple of its day. And during the 1920s, RCA stock rose 200 times, which was really a sign of the times. This was an era of peace and prosperity, so Americans prioritized consumption and recreation over production.
and RCA was the ultimate consumer recreation stock. But then the Great Depression set in at the end of the decade. RCA stock dropped 98% from its peak of $114 in 1929 to $2.62 in 1932. Suddenly, American values had changed again. Money was no longer plentiful, and people had to make tough decisions about what to buy. Hard work and sacrifice were back in vogue, and spending money on leisure and recreation seemed absolutely insane. Once again, the shift in values was reflected in the stock market. Recreation-oriented companies were out, while boring companies like Procter & Gamble, which efficiently manufactured the most critical consumer staples, became the best performers of the era. Energy companies also did very well because when push comes to shove and consumers have to make decisions about where to allocate scarce resources, energy, along with food, almost invariably ranks toward the top. This cycle is repeated again and again throughout history. During boom times, the world's most critical resources like food, energy, raw materials often become forgotten investments. Meanwhile, investors chase hot fads, which are usually oriented towards consumer leisure and recreation. We've seen this in our own recent history. Netflix is a great example. It's often hilariously referred to as a technology company, but Netflix is obviously in the recreation business. So is Facebook, Meta for that matter, whose products really just enable people to waste time by swiping and scrolling through endless butt selfies. Apple designs the devices which people use to swipe and scroll. Amazon makes it super easy for people to spend money on the stuff they don't really need. You get the idea. These are ultimately consumer recreation businesses, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's worth noting that the most valuable companies in the world are predominantly in this consumer recreation sector. That's because most of the last 15 years has been an era of abundance, similar to the Roaring '20s. And with so much boundless prosperity, consumer recreation once again became a major financial priority, whereas something as banal as energy production simply fell off the list of core economic values. Think about it. We constantly hear famous economists praise the American consumer. No one ever talks about the American producer, and certainly not the American energy producer. But values can and do shift very quickly. Just look at Pfizer. As recently as 2019, Big Pharma had been among the most hated sectors in the world due to sky-high drug prices. But when the pandemic came along, and suddenly everyone started exuberatingly supporting Big Pharma, priorities shifted and Pfizer became one of the world's most valuable companies. I believe that priorities are on track to shift again, given how the U.S. government's massive debt problems will likely lead to sustained inflation within the next 5 to 7 years, if not sooner. And as financial values and priorities shift, critical resources should take precedence over consumer recreation once again. This doesn't mean that consumer businesses will go bust. However, the sky-high valuations that we've seen, like 50 times price-earnings ratio, for recreation-oriented businesses will not last. Conversely, critical resource businesses will likely surge in value. These companies, which have been mostly ignored or even deliberately injured, which means that many such businesses are selling for historically low valuations. But over the next several years, as priorities shift again, they could easily become the must-own, best-performing companies in the world. Well, so if you're investing in stocks or anything like that, you might want to think about where to shift your investment, if you have money to gamble on the stock market, that is. or if you could actually invest in businesses and in ownership, shares in businesses, if you're into that. I wish I had money to do stuff like that. I probably still wouldn't do that. I think I could find better uses for my money, like investing in God's kingdom, maybe setting up a couple of, what do you call it, small industries locally to employ some of the local natives. Yeah, that's us. Natives. I'm a Native American. Okay. So when I say the natives, I mean the people that live here, are born here, and are Americans. Yes. Let all the illegal aliens go to New York for all I care. I haven't seen one here. I mean, we have illegal aliens all over California, but most of them are Mexicans. Yeah, where I live. And but there are a lot of Mexican descendants of Mexico here in this area too. So they're probably, not the majority, because they would probably be equal to about what, whites. And then there are the other people that are coming in and make up the middle, or the real minorities. Yeah. But we're not a majority. White people are not a majority in California, and probably not. Well, not in California anyway. I'll go that far, and probably a few other states. But it's okay, whatever. People are people. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Just found that to be an interesting article. Let me see if anyone's got anything to say. Yeah, poor Donald's rich friend. Okay. I don't know anything about Donald's rich friends. Could probably use a few right now. Oh, wait a minute. I guess he's worth $5 billion more than he was last week. Hey, we did learn something from Not the Bee, didn't we? All right. Well, let's see what else have we got here. Okay, we can close that tab. Migrant crisis and the states increasingly defying the feds. Good idea. I think states' rights is something that the states need to start reasserting, especially now. And I would like to see the United States break up myself. I think it's a good idea. I don't believe that the Civil War, the so-called Civil War, settled anything. It was an unlawful war, because if the states are free, then they should be free to leave. That's part of freedom. Yeah, you're free as long as you stay where I want you. Yeah, you're free as long as you're subject to us. Yeah, so that was an illegal war by Abraham Lincoln. Yeah, the only president that was worse than Abraham Lincoln was Woodrow Wilson, who brought you the Federal Reserve and the income tax amendment. Was it an amendment? I guess it was. Not sure, but I'm forgetting how all that stuff works. Maybe I need to dive into it all again. But I know one thing, that still they never amended the Constitution to get rid of the clause that said that there shall be no direct taxation. And that's to the federal government. And the direct taxation is between the federal government and the individual. That would be us people. However, the federal government was supposed to be supported by imposts and duties and a head tax payable by the states, a yearly head tax payable by the states, and they were all supposed to be equal and even, and it was the same head tax for man, woman, or child. And it was they had a census every 10 years to determine that. That's all it was for. And to determine the congressional seats and how many would be added as the population grew. But they stopped that at one point too. So they're not following the Constitution on that either, are they? Or did they amend the Constitution to limit the number of representatives. Yeah, don't know if they did that or not. But let's see. So, because of the migrant crisis and the states increasingly defying the feds, let's take a look, see what Doug Casey has to say here. Oh, this is from International Man. During his presidency, Joe Biden implemented an open border policy with thousands of migrants entering the U.S. daily, and the number of migrants that have entered the U.S. illegally since Biden took office is easily in the millions. The invasion has put immense pressure on the frontline states. Where do you think the trend is headed? Doug says in December 23 alone, at least 300,000 of these people crossed the border. The numbers are going up. And the more people, people are complaining, they're turning on the spigot more because they're just trying to totally destroy the country while they can. And before the people of the states figure out what to do. So the numbers are going up. And I wonder, where are you going to put them? They arrive with nothing more than the shirts on their backs, but need a place to sleep and something to eat. What is the purpose of welcoming these people in to become wards of the state? There's already no place to put them other than schools, airports, or public buildings, but millions more are on the way. Many hotels, like the Roosevelt in New York, have been rented for them. The next step, people may be asked or ordered to make their second homes or guest houses available to the migrants, or perhaps spare bedrooms in their homes. You might think that's absurd, and it is, but something will be done to accommodate millions of aliens who are encouraged to enter the U.S. They're immediately made into welfare recipients. The number of migrants is certain to grow. Government-funded NGOs give most of them debit cards and cell phones. They come from the world's poorest places. You can be certain that one of the first calls that they make is to friends back home saying, "Come to America." They all understandably want to leave their, toilet hole countries. They walk across Mexico and pile up at the border. They're welcomed into the U.S., drawn by the certainty of food, lodging, medical care, and cash. They then become America's problem. Why is this happening? We can conjecture. Maybe the Dems see new voters for the coming election. Maybe it's a desire to replace white people. Maybe altruists think it's just the right thing to do. Maybe it's a visceral hatred of America and what it stands for. But the result will be to utter chaos in America over the next few years. Even if the border is closed after the election, millions more will still pile up in Mexico. Most migrants are young males. They justifiably at this point hold Americans in complete contempt for being weak, soft, and lacking self-respect. Many will form up into criminal gangs. Why? Well, I can tell you the truth. What the Antichrist wants, the Antichrist gets. Because the Antichrist has the money power to do it. That's why it's happening. Tried a lot, just about everything else. They've been working on destroying America within, destroying the morals of America, whatever it takes to take America down. Our enemies are real, and they're within the gates. Can we fight it off? Can we take it back? Maybe. But then we've got a huge job. Now we're all busy trying to ingest all of these people into our society. Now, most of them are likely just poor dupes looking for a better life. Some of them may have been sent over here by their governments. And even most of those, once their governments are, like China or our enemies, most of them will likely just go, phew. I'm so lucky that I got out of that and I got to America, that they will not even think about, except for the criminal gangs and the Chinese police that are working under the shadows here. And many of them will defect from their native cause. from their native tyrant's cause to a place that is still, one of the, the freest places on the planet. So, as I've said before, and I guess I'm going to say it again, the best thing we can do if we can't deport them, and I think that we should try to deport as many as we can, yes, and especially if we recognize that they have ill intent toward our country, or they're criminals, or parts of criminal gangs, or obviously, like I said, have ill intent. The others, and even those, we need to flood them with a true understanding what American liberty is about, and with gospel tracts, the gospel tracts first, and and information of what our country is really about, and the liberty we have, and how we keep the liberty by our Constitution. They need to be educated in America's Constitution. Yeah, that's what seems like the smartest thing that we could do if we were going to minister to these people at all as Christians, to bring them the gospel and tell them the truth about America. And maybe, just maybe, we can keep America from falling all the way, as many other countries have, to complete communism, complete control, complete totalitarian control by the Antichrist and whoever his procurators are in those countries, wherever they're at. Let's see. Scattered Sheep, I forgot your name. Sorry about that, I forgot your first name, but let's see. Nick, have you read Chuck Baldwin's latest column? No, I haven't read his latest column. When did that come out? But you could give me a clue as to what it's out about, or a link to it, and I could definitely check it out. I know I used to read his column a lot more than I do now, because he got off into preterism, and which includes amillennialism, and started so his mind has gone off in a different direction. But still, on Super Bowl Sunday, February 11th, an article about Super Bowl Sunday. Yeah. I don't know. I don't pay attention to football and all that stuff. So not really excited about Super Bowl one way or the other. I always saw it as spectator sports as somewhat idolatrous myself. So if it's along that vein, I'm sure that I'll be much in agreement with everything that he has to say. All right. Tylox is saying goodbye. Well, we'll see you tomorrow night then. I know it's pretty late some places. It is here, much later. Yeah. Okay, so why is this happening? Yes, we can conjecture, but I think, like I said, what the Antichrist gets, what the Antichrist wants, the Antichrist gets. But I'm hoping that we can resist and keep resisting. And even if it means that we have to minister to these people, then we should. As God's people, as Christians, these are real, live human beings who deserve to hear the gospel, if nothing else. And maybe if they hear the gospel, maybe they'll take it back home with them too. That would be the best outcome. Yeah. If they love their own countrymen. Yes. So, okay. Says, what do you think about this? He says, I'm not a fan of local or state government officials. They're mostly petty hacks trying to leverage themselves into the big time, which is to say, Washington, D.C. Yes, the heart of the Antichrist and his shadow government. Don't count on them to solve any problems. But it's understandable why Texas doesn't want the migrants hanging around, because they're right at the border. If the migrants were Americans, they might be called vagrants. That's the traditional term for people who are homeless, penniless, and unemployed. Of course, they want to ship them to sanctuary cities. And you can't say the sanctuary cities didn't ask for it. Yeah, now they asked for it and they got it. Among other problems, the local poor, especially blacks in northern ghettos, resent the newcomers being put up in hotels with free debit cards, food, and cell phones. Of course, a lot of blacks on welfare get these things anyway, but they resent incoming migrants getting them immediately. Early waves of Hispanics, who are mostly opportunity seekers, resent the newcomers getting a free ride. It's a formula for discontent in the big cities, definitely. There's a lot of people come to this country for the work opportunity, and they work hard. Yes. Also, anyway, we know all of this is going on. So I'm going to just, a lot of article there. I think I'm just going to let that article go. We all know what's going on there. And pretty good view there. Let's check out and see what else we got. Let's see. Warning. This website may harm your preconceptions. Yeah, if you're woke. Well, let's see what that means. We'll see what that means after we have some messages. Anyway, I want to thank all of you for showing up tonight, but do stick around. I've got another segment to go before we all go to sleep. Okay, I'll be back in a few minutes.
The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on satellite, internet, or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the internet. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, C-R-O-S-S, crosstheborder.org to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
Hello, Laura from New Zealand. Welcome to the chat room. Okay, and we got one more segment here. Let's see. Well, bribe to buy from Eric Peters. That's what those tax credits you've had no doubt heard about amount to, he says. It's true that people who qualify for them are merely getting back some of their own money that would be otherwise have been paid, that is taken in taxes. It's still effectively a bribe in return for buying something you probably otherwise wouldn't. We will give you back some of the money you otherwise would have had to pay the government. Tax credits were not necessary to sell cars that sold. On their merits, like the 1964 Mustang, for instance, it was a new kind of car, the eponymous pony car, that Ford took a gamble on that paid off handsomely. The Mustang has been in continuous production ever since. This year is its 60th anniversary. Millions have been produced over that time span, and no one had to be bribed to buy one, opposed to the Mustang Mach-E, which is an EV and isn't a Mustang any more than mRNA drugs are. Yes. No one got a check from the government for buying a VW Beetle either, or for that matter, one of the VW's high-mileage, low-cost, diesel-powered cars, the ones you can't buy anymore. The government attacked VW for selling them to people who very much wanted to buy them using their own money. This says a great deal about what government wants. Try to imagine what the landscape would look like if the government weren't bribing people to buy EVs. It is easy to imagine because there would be very few, if any, EVs. It is why there were almost no EVs from 1930 to 2008, when Tesla began converting Lotus sports cars into battery-powered devices. You probably read about the problems manufacturers are having trying to sell EVs even with the bribes in place. Try to imagine the problem they'd have if people weren't being bribed to buy EVs. Even if everyone who actually wanted one had to pay for it, just the same as everyone else who buys cars they're not paid to buy. EV apologists will often come back with the accusation that oil is also subsidized, that people are not paying the full cost of the fuel they're buying. Really? Yeah, that is absurd. If anything, they're paying through the nose already. The cost of a gallon of gas includes extortion. They are styled taxes to the tune of about 50 to 60 cents per gallon, depending on which state you live in. Filling up an average car's 15-gallon tank entails paying around $8 in taxes. Annually, that comes around $400. If you have driven an average car and the average annual mileage for the past 20 years, you have paid more than about $8,000 than the buyer in a new EV is bribed to buy an EV. Yeah, so from Eric Peters at ericpetersauto.com, I believe it is. Yeah. Anyway, he's a guest on David Knight in the afternoons occasionally, maybe once a month or something. Anyway, I always enjoy it when he's on his his interviews there. Always interesting. Okay, let's see. What else do we have here? Let's see what we have over here in the right-hand column. Russia adds Republican. We talked about that. Liberals look down on ordinary Americans. Yes, if you're not liberal, you must be ordinary, and that you will be looked down on by them. Yes, why is Nikki Haley so confident? The Haley campaign, such as it is. Yeah, I wonder why. She's even losing in her own home state. You'd think, you'd think losing in her own. I guess that's this month, and she's losing in her own home state. Maybe she thinks she can pull it off. Will she? When it becomes official that she's lost in her own home state, will she drop out then, or is she the new darling of the Uniparty, and perhaps thinking that somehow, maybe she'll get picked as Kamala Harris's vice president if Joe Biden kicks the bucket or becomes absolutely too senile to prop up anymore. A lot of maybes out there before 2024 before 2025 going on, before the next president is seated in office, whoever that may be. Yes, indeed. Okay, what else? Is Navalny's death a false flag? I don't know. The guy might have just died. Yeah, there might be nothing to it. But, conspiracy theories abound just about any way they can abound today. So that you would think that there's some kind of conspiracy about everything and everyone. Yeah, it's crazy. Very crazy. Okay, let's see. Oh, yeah, I think we talked about that before. Milei secures Argentina's first budget surplus since 2012 after only 1 month in office. Yeah, that could happen in America, too. Someone got in here and just shut the whole thing down and only turned on what was absolutely necessary. That's the way you do it. Everybody go home. If they can do it in Argentina, we can do it in America. Why not? Especially in Washington, D.C. Well, good night, scattered sheep. Sweet dreams. So, see, if people count sheep, what do sheep count? I wonder. A stunning 10 million illegals have entered the U.S. under Biden. Tucker warns they are destroying the country. Yeah, well, that was kind of the thing. What Biden is, and his master is trying to accomplish. Boy, the news is just awful sometimes. All right, let's see what else we got. A little prepper news here. How much cash should we keep on hand at home in case of an emergency? That's something you might want to know. From Prep Group. It is the final backup plan for a lot of us in case of a disaster. A generous supply of cold hard cash to buy our way out of trouble. pick up as many last-minute supplies as possible, or to acquire resources that are unavailable to anyone with a credit card in a world where the electricity is out and the internet is down. So that is a good idea to have. Yes. Oh, good to see you here finally, Shelley. And I believe you just showed up in the chat room, or just showed it. Yeah, just showed up in the chat room. You might have been here all along, but that's Shelley R, right? Yeah. But anyway, speaking of cash, how much cash should you have on hand? Because if the electricity is out and the internet is down, credit cards are not going to work. And we frequently talk about having cash for emergencies, but how much cash should you have if the grid goes down? What will you be able to purchase with your doomsday supply, and how long would it last in the first place? One of our readers made a recommendation the other day to have between $500 and $1,000 in cash for your bug out bag, and at the time it prompted me to consider again if this amount makes sense. In my personal preparedness plans, I have a supply of cash, but I'm always trying to figure out if what I have is enough or too much. Will it, for us old-fashioned people who don't use the bank, who don't use a bank, and or have a bank account and just keep enough in there to keep our current bills paid, maybe 60 or 90 days worth of money in the bank account to pay those bills, and then have your real savings in gold, silver, or cash under your mattress. We'll just say under your mattress, but I wouldn't put anything under my mattress. Yeah. Because I have to tell you, I have a waterbed. The only thing under my mattress is a waterbed liner. Yeah. That's the only thing under my waterbed mattress. But no money under there. Yes. Okay. Let's see. My personal preparedness plans, I have a supply of cash, but I'm always trying to figure out what I need. So too much is not enough or too much. Will it even matter? I mean, you can't have too much. Can you? When Teotwacky comes, I don't know what Teotwacky comes and how I can best use the cash I have to survive. Why do you need to have cash on hand? You want to know the time when you need cash the most. It will be when you can't get to it. How many of you right now have no cash at all in your wallets or purses? I used to be the same way. I never had cash and relied on the ready availability of cash machines, or most often the ability to pay for virtually anything with a debit card. How convenient is it to never have to make change or worry if you have enough cash with the swipe of a card, or your bank account funds are at your disposal? This is a great technological advance, but the problem is that this requires two things to be functioning. First, the card readers and ATM machines require electricity. If the electricity is out, neither of these two machines works. The second thing is a network connection. If the network is down, even with electricity, the transaction won't work and you can't pay for goods or get cash from your bank. Can't get cash from your bank. In a disaster, one of the first casualties is electricity. This doesn't have to be due to some cosmic solar flare that has rendered the grid useless. It could be as destructive as a common fire, flood, earthquake, tornado, or winter storm. It could also be from simple vandalism or perhaps terrorism. A major fiber optic cable was cut in Arizona back in February, leaving businesses without the ability to accept payments. I know it happened here in California. I was out for my cable was out for 6 days. Someone cut a cable in Los Angeles area, in Los Angeles County, and I lost my internet for 6 days. Fortunately, at that time, I had DSL backup, so I was still able to, at lower rate, which meant I couldn't do any video or a lot of uploading, but I could at least keep First Amendment Radio running. And that's when I was primarily internet radio and not doing any video. So, but that was part of my transition, getting cable in here and making it. So I had something anyway. But yeah, it can happen. 6 days. Yeah, it was down. That's a lot of time in internet land. So anyway, reading on here. A major fiber optic cable was cut in Arizona back in February, leaving businesses without the ability to accept payments. When the electricity is out, you aren't going to be able to access your cash via the normal means, so having a supply in hand is going to be a huge advantage for you in the right circumstances. Yes, you can buy gas with cash. Even if there's no natural disaster, you're still in the mercy of your bank. What if your bank closes, or there's a bank holiday declared, or if they debank you or unbank you or whatever they call it? Yeah, because that could happen too, because of some economic crisis. In any of those situations, if you are dependent on access to money that is controlled by either technology or physical limitations like a bank office, it is wise to have a backup plan should either of those two conditions prevent you from getting cash. What is cash good for in a crisis? Well, I think there are two levels to consider when it comes to keeping cash on hand. There is the bug-out scenario mentioned above, where you would have some walking around money to take care of relatively minor needs like food, a hotel, or gas. The second is for a longer or more widespread unavailability of funds. Let's say the economy tanks and the price of everything skyrockets, but stores are still open for business. Your bank is one of the casualties, but you had a few $1,000s of cash stored away that you could use to purchase food, gas, and necessary preparedness items for your family. In this scenario, the government is still backing the fiat currency, and vendors are still accepting it as a form of payment. For this scenario, having a few $1,000s makes sense. But what if we have an extreme event where the currency is devalued and it is essentially worthless? Your thousands of dollars might buy you a loaf of bread. Don't believe it can happen. Don't believe it can happen? It did in the Weimar Republic after World War I, so it can happen again. And it's happened in several other places since then, too. That isn't to say it will, but you should balance how much money you will have squirreled away under your mattress with supplies you can purchase now that will last and keep you alive during that same type of event. My goal is to make sure I have the basics I need to survive at home for several months to a year without needing to spend any cash. This way, if the money is worthless, I still have what my family needs to survive. If we have a regional disaster where you can bug out to a safer location, your cash should serve you well. Of course, if you're in a safer location, assuming electricity was working, your access to bank funds should still be working. If this is truly the end of the world as we know it, how long will that cash be worth anything? And how long will the cash be worth anything? Yes. Okay, I got to get down here to read the rest of the article. I should have just came to the article in the first place. Oh. Oh, yes. Yeah, here it is. How much cash do you need? So the $1 million question is, how much cash should you have if the grid goes down? I always try to plan for the worst case scenario. My rationale is that if I'm prepared for the end of the world as we know it, I should be just as prepared for any lesser disaster or crisis I may be faced with. The way I see it is if we do have a disaster, you aren't going to be using that cash most likely to pay your mortgage, student loans, rent, or your credit card bills. Cash will go to life-saving supplies, and this will need to be used in the earliest hours of any crisis before all of the goods are gone or the cash is worthless. Once people realize, for example, that the government has been temporarily destroyed, they aren't going to want to take your $500 for a tank of gas. They're going to want guns, food, or bullets. I also don't see you using your cash to buy passage to another country, but that's just me. I know there is a historical precedent for that, but I'm not planning on that being something I really realistically attempt with my family. I am also not planning on bribing any officials with cash either. My cash is for last-minute necessities, and then it's back into the hopefully safe confines of my home to plan the next steps. For that, I have only a couple $1,000s in cash stored away. I figure if I need more than that, I didn't plan well. Also, I would rather spend my money on supplies like long-term storable food and equipment than having a large hoard of cash. With that amount, I figure I can make one last run if needed to be able to weather any short-term emergency when I can't access cash. So what's the best place to store cash in your home? I wrote a post a while back titled How to Hide Money Where the Bankers Won't Find It, and had lots of good ideas for reasonably safe places you could store cash. As I said in that article, you do have risks involved with keeping cash in your house, but I think you have just the same, if not worse, risk relying on banks to keep your money safe and give it back when you want it. There are a million places to hide cash, but you can get tricky and buy a fake shaving cream to store your cash several $100s in there. Just be careful you don't throw that away. There are other options like wall clocks with a hidden compartment inside that might be less prone to getting tossed into the trash. Your imagination is really all you need for a good hiding place, but I would caution you that you don't store cash in too many places or you could forget where you hid it. Yeah. You could forget where you hid it. Yeah, it's true. I have found money in my house that I forgot I had. So, it's happened a couple times. Not very often, but a couple times. So it's not as bad as it sounds. This happened to me when I hid some cash behind an item that I ended up giving to my daughter because I thought I needed it and I didn't need it anymore. Imagine my surprise when she came into the living room and said, "Dad, I found an envelope with a lot of money in it." I gave her a 20 for a reward. What about you? How much cash do you think you need to have on hand? And what do you plan on spending it on if the grid goes down? So there you go. Yes, in your home. How to survive a home invasion. He's got a video there. Yeah. Or she. I don't know who writes this. I saw a picture of a woman. Maybe that's her. So, Prep Group. And I should follow her blog. It is a WordPress blog. So, where is the... oh, wait a minute. Subscribe. I'm going to subscribe to her blog. Oh, enter your email address. Already, okay. I'm already logged in. What do you mean, log in? I'm always logged in. Okay, so I guess I'm subscribed. That's it. Looks like a good blog anyway. Yes, good enough for them to... They never put my blog on LouRockwell.com. Huh. Well, anyway, we've come to the end of the hour here. Thank you all for showing up, and even if you show up later and you're watching this on a rerun sometime later in the night or early in the wee hours of the morning, thank you for showing up. Sorry about the technical problems. I'm going to work on my cables or something because I don't know. I might have a cable problem on this computer I do this broadcast from. So, but anyway, you can support us by sharing the information, share First Amendment Radio, share the videos, like the videos, all that stuff. If you got too much cash laying around, we're talking about that. You can send some of this to us. You can sign up on PayPal and send a certain amount through your credit card monthly. So you don't even well, I guess you have to have a PayPal account to do the monthly thing, but just hold your nose while you use PayPal. Or you can give to us on Rumble. Yeah, they have a thing, and I don't think they charge any more than PayPal does. It's like 3% or something. Or you can find, if you click on our support button and you read it there, if I do that myself, yeah, how do I do that? Okay, go here and I press on First Amendment Radio, select the support button over there, and it says support via postal mail. Click here. Okay, so you click there, and a PDF comes up and tells you how to make out your check or money order, and it gives you it prints out some mail labels so you can tape them to your envelope or your package. You can send to that address anything you want: gold, silver, money, blank money orders, checks. Just make them out to the trust account that we have set up there. And don't make them out to me or First Amendment Radio, but follow those instructions. And we have not lost anything yet in 20 years that we've been doing this. So, yeah. That's because God's in charge. Anyway, there's our outro music. May the Almighty bless you and keep you as you travel on the narrow way that leads to life. I'll see you next time.
Secrets of the Rapture. Is there a 500-year-old conspiracy? A propaganda machine so pervasive and entrenched, yet so elusive that the entire world could be taken in by it, working in plain sight, but unseen by the world for what it truly is? If prophecy is God-given history in advance, why does the prophecy that has conquered the age also exclude nearly 2,000 years of history? What is it that they are afraid that the light of history will reveal? To understand our place in time and prophecy, we must look in history for an interpretation, that which stands the test of time, that which agrees with the Word of God, and history has proven to be true. When cunning fables and fearful speculations are removed from our sight, then we may clearly see what is truly expressed in Bible prophecy, both that which has been fulfilled and that which has yet to come. God's express word is the sword that must be wielded to remove the scales from the eyes and dispel the darkness of deceitful conjecture. Secrets of the Rapture was written to expose that which the spirit of the age has conjured out of the darkness to blind the eyes of the church in the world today. Secrets of the Rapture, Deconstructing Pre-Tribulation Dispensational Futurism by yours truly, Nicholas Arthur, is now available at lulu.com and Amazon. Secrets of the Rapture.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. President Biden is reportedly considering signing an executive order which would limit the ability of migrants arriving at the U.S. southern border to claim asylum. Lucas Tomlinson reports.
State House, where it is the Republican Speaker's top priority. Blaze TV host Aaron McIntyre appeared on the Jenna Ellis in the Morning program to discuss the cell phone outage issue that hit this morning.
This is just one example of many where we have very complicated and interconnected world, and increasingly we have to worry about simple outages causing kind of a wide pattern of disruption. We make sure to go ahead and integrate all these complicated systems, and then when